Hey, what is up, people? This is Johnny and welcome to Pokemon Troll Battle Strategies, and in this video we're going to use a Pokemon called Shuckle, and we're going to use it as a defense troll. Alright, so let's check out the Pokemon Shuckle that I have in my party, and what this Pokemon has. The moves are Toxic, Infestation, Shell Smash, and Rest. So Shell Smash, what that does, it raises your defense each round, I believe, depending on... There's a certain level where it can raise up your defense, and it takes away all your attack and special attack, I believe, and even speed. And Infestation, what that does is kind of like Toxic. It keeps affecting your opponent for 5 turns. And then there's Toxic, which lasts forever, which is kind of like Poison. It's poison, basically. And what that does to your opponent, it keeps lowering its health every round. And as well as Rest when our Pokemon starts getting a little bit worn out. So as you can see, my EVs or attack is very low, 50, and my defense is at level 546 of defense, and special attack is at 56, special defense is at 559, and speed is at 46. Now the ability, I believe, for this Pokemon is actually Contrary. So that's my ability for this Pokemon. Contrary, what it does, if your opponent tries to lower your special attack, it will actually do the opposite, and then it will make your special attack go higher, and that's a pretty decent thing to use in a battle. Now as for the natures, I believe nothing really matters for the natures. If you want to have a good nature, I recommend something that raises up your defense or special defense. I have bold. You could have different natures as well, they will all work. But I recommend the ones that are more of a defense nature that will raise up your stuff. Alright, so that's what you need to do. And one thing I would recommend is that you have an item like leftovers on this Pokemon, because it really does become useful at a certain point for your Pokemon Shuckle. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how I use my Shuckle in gameplay. So my opponent took out his Sharpedo and I took out my Shuckle. And my Shuckle is the first Pokemon to go. Now I don't quite remember if I actually used Toxic or Infestation or Shell Smash. One of the things I really do recommend that you do first when you take out a Shuckle is try to get its defense up, which is Shell Smash. So I did went ahead and use Shell Smash, and that will help me a lot in the future because my Pokemon is now gathering its defensive side. So as you can see, the speed and attack is going down, but that doesn't really matter because the Shell Smash will give me a higher defense, and it won't really affect my Shuckle as much as this Sharpedo is intending to do. As you can see, I use Shell Smash again because it's going to go ahead and raise up the defense and special defense. And when this Pokemon uses Earthquake, it's not even going to do that much damage onto my Shuckle. As you can see, the leftovers is it comes in very handy because the leftovers just keeps on giving you more HP each round, and it's helping me a lot. So I decided to use Shell Smash like 3 times. This Pokemon is only doing little damage to my Shuckle, and my special defense is rising up again, and it keeps going again. So I believe maybe after this turn is when I decide to go ahead and start using Toxic against my opponent Sharpedo. And he's going to use Skull Bash, which isn't really going to do anything to my Pokemon. It's just defense rising to it. Now I used Toxic, but somehow this Sharpedo managed to dodge the Toxic that I was going to use against it. So he's going to use Skull Bash, which it really didn't do anything at all. It was not very effective. And this time my Toxic actually decided to attack the Sharpedo. And the next move that I'm going to use is Infestation. And Infestation is kind of like Poison. It only lasts 5 turns, but it does help on the long run to your Pokemon, giving it more attacks to the opponent. So he decides to use Ice Beam, which doesn't really do that much damage, and there goes my Infestation. Now the next thing that you want to do after you manage to get your opponent strucken by Poison and Toxic, Toxic and Infestation, you want to go ahead and use Shell Smash until you max out your defense. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to keep on using that. Going to keep using the Shell Smash so it can actually allow my Pokemon to raise its defense and special defense to the maximum. Now I use the Shell Smash right there, and it's actually helping a lot. Now I know the Sharpedo could probably last a couple more turns, so I think I do go ahead and use Shell Smash again, because the Sharpedo does have me in the yellow bar health, but it's actually going to keep getting poison, and I think it can last one more turn by that poison. But when you get at the yellow, and if you have enough defense already, I do highly recommend going into rest, because there's these water plus. That move really does an effective thing against your Pokemon. So I decided to use rest because I knew my Shuckle was about to get pretty weak, and that restores all of my health and it becomes very healthy again. And then Sharpedo is about to faint while my Pokemon's asleep, and the infestation can take it down, and it took down that Sharpedo in an instant. Alright, now the offside is that your Shuckle will stay asleep for quite some time. Your Shuckle will keep sleeping until it wakes up, probably like 5 turns. I would say about 5 turns it will last. And then he took out his Groudon, which is actually a Pokemon that's really strong, but it's not going to do that much damage against my Shuckle, because my Shuckle is in a defensive mode for my Pokemon. Now the thing is that what you want to do is you want to try to wake up your Pokemon, but if it can't be waking up, you're just gonna have to wait the turns. That's why the Shell Smash is really important to use, and the leftovers will keep giving you more HP as the rounds go. Now one thing that I want to mention is that this Shuckle works really well, but there are several different things that can counter this Pokemon. For like, I believe Aegis Slash and some other Pokemon are not affected by the toxic normal type Pokemon. A lot of normal type Pokemons that I've seen that are not affected by toxic. Some type Pokemon like that, there are some that are not affected by toxic. So I recommend using Infestation when you come across those Pokemon. And there, my Shuckle actually woke up, so I went ahead and used Toxic again, because my Shuckle had enough HP in order to combat this Pokemon. So I use Infestation, and I might as well do that in order to get my Groudon started so it can start fainting quicker. The quicker you get Poison and Infestation on him, the quicker it will faint, but the same thing that you have to have a defensive so your Pokemon won't faint. Alright, so as you can see, the Infestation is coming pretty strong against that Groudon. And he's going to keep using his special moves, which is pretty amazing. You can even defeat legendaries. That's the funny thing. So after I used that, I decided to go back into my Shell Smash, and my defense is just keep rising. Now there will be a point where your defense will not go any higher. You'll be at max defense and you can't do anything about it, but you'll pretty much have an invisible Pokemon that will do a lot of damage, this Shuckle. And as you can see, I'm already almost halfway down the health of this Groudon. And he keeps using his Lava Palm, which does pretty good. Not really. And there goes again my Shell Smash. And it's just going to keep on repeating itself. The defense is keep rising. But my special attack won't go any lower, so I can't do anything about that. And the leftovers is just helping me out. This Groudon, it's going to be time for it to end anytime soon. There it goes with the Infestation, and Infestation actually decided to take it out. So what's his next Pokemon? The Sunlight has faded. I'm guessing that he's going to send out his Kyogre, which he did. And Kyogre is affected against Toxic and Poison. Yeah, Toxic and Infestation is it works against Kyogre. Now, one thing I do have to tell you is that if your opponent takes out a Kyogre and uses Origin Plus on your Shuckle and you're the first Pokemon that's up, I'm going to tell you that that's going to do a lot of effectiveness against it. So Origin Plus on a Kyogre really is strong against the Shuckle. You have to have a high defense, so I don't recommend a Shuckle going against a Kyogre with Origin Plus. Plus, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a really strong attack. And he's going to use Sheer Code, and for some reason my Shuckle keeps really dodging his attacks, which is pretty cool. Well, anyways, Kyogre is pretty much KO now that I have infected it with Poison and Infestation, and my leftovers is going. So might as well use Shell Smash again and just keep on doing that until my opponent is down and out. Alright, so we're almost done to this battle. It's just a couple more. As you can see, I use Shell Smash, but it won't go any higher. So That's pretty much the maximum you can do on this Pokemon. You can't really do any much. And the other thing you can do is go to rest, but I didn't decide to go to rest because there's no point in it. I still have one Pokemon left to defeat, I believe. So I'm gonna wait it out until I defeat that Kyogre. So I use Infestation again so it can start continuing the cycle, even though Infestation doesn't really do that much damage by just using it as an attack. But it starts working a lot better. And Kyogre fainted. And that pretty much sucks. If my Kyogre was getting fainted by a Shuckle that's just been trolling me the whole time. And that sucks. And here comes the Salamence, which there it goes, the contrary ability. It used Intimidate, but my attack actually rose for my Pokemon. Now the first thing I was always going to do against this Salamence is just go ahead and use the Toxic again. And for some reason my Pokemon keeps on dodging the abilities. I'm not sure if Salamence is affected by Toxic. I don't quite remember. I think it is not, or I think it is affected. Well, anyways, I decided to use the Infestation first just to make sure. And there you go. It has using Earthquake and it's not really doing anything. And I think I can use Shell Smash again because I got that Intimidate, which rolls my attack again up to the top. Well, it rolls a bit of it. Anyways, that Pokemon is not doing anything. That Infestation is eventually going to get it, following by that Poison. It's going to use Heat Wave, and it's not really going to... Well, actually it did a pretty critical damage that time. And says the contrary ability, nothing would actually rise higher because everything's already up. So there's no point in using it anymore, even if my that ability rolls my attack a bit. Anyways, I'm already at HP, and the only last option I have for this Pokemon is to go ahead and go to sleep. And that's a really fun way to end your battle, by making the Pokemon just have a nap. I would get mad if I was the opponent. I believe I do use it after this, and where my Pokemon just goes to rest, or it doesn't, because I didn't want to be such a troll. Alright, so I think I do use it. I think I will use rest for the final move. Anyways, that's pretty much it. How I covered this troll strategy for a Shuckle, or stall Shuckle, because it really does pretty good damage against your Pokemon. So if you can use this, but make sure to watch out for Toxic, Hypnosis, moves like that. Use it when you think it's appropriate for you to use this, and it will come out in your side winning. And he had one more Pokemon, PGI, and yeah, he pretty much did the same thing again. And I will let you watch the rest of the battle so you can enjoy it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.